I take back all my hatred of the UFC Apex as UFC Vegas 119, Manel Kape versus Kyoji Horiguchi just ended. Let's get right into the reactions of all the fights. Collins versus Tanzilovi to start off. Decent fight. Goes to decision, unanimous win for Collins. Tanzilovi just didn't have anything for him. That's why I predicted. Sean Collins, was going out there, doing his thing, just marching forward. He had more powerful shots. He was the better featherweight frame in this fight. And Tanzilovi just had nothing for him. Both guys were hitting body shots. There was a couple knees in the clinch in the first round. Tanzilovi would take down Collins every now and then, and Collins seemed to always have a guillotine or some kind of submission potential. And Tanzilovi just had really no control, no damage on the ground. It was just, Tanzilovi would take him down, Collins would get up, and they'd go right back to striking. Into round 2 and round 3, Tanzilovi, it looks like he just started gassing, and he started taunting Sean Collins for whatever reason. I mean, he just was trying to get him into a fight, I guess, but at the same time, he was losing. It was clear as day that he was losing. And yeah, like I said, man, Collins just started hitting body shots in round 3, and Tanzilovi was just on the cage taking them, just not doing anything, no aggression, no will to win. Collins just looked better all around, and he took the fight on 10 days notice, so it's pretty impressive. So unanimous win. Tanzilovi also had Merab in his corner, and they looked shocked that they lost that fight for God knows what reason. We move on. Luana Santos versus Karol Rosa. I'm going to be real quick with this. Luana Santos did her game. She took Karol Rosa down. Karol Rosa also went for a front kick in the second round, fell on her ass, and Santos just took it over from there. She just stayed on her. Really no submission threats at all. Just, she did get on her back in round 3, but just backpacking her. Nothing exciting. But Santos gets the win. She's, I think, 5-1 now in the UFC, so good for her. And yeah, Karol Rosa, just, one of those people in the women's division that she's always going to be around, but it's like a little bit of a test, I guess, for all the women. On to the next fight. Shahbazyan versus Chokheli was such a joke. Shahbazyan should not be in the UFC. He weighed in as a welterweight in this fight, and he is gigantic, and you just knew looking at him that he was going to get, it was not going to be good for him. Chokheli comes out, immediately hits him with a leg kick. Shahbazyan's leg basically just gets destroyed off of that one leg kick. He's compromised. Chokheli knocks him out with a nasty body shot. That's it. Round 1, I think it was first minute in, might have been 2 minutes in. Crazy work from Chokheli. He looks like he can be a knockout artist, but definitely needs more of a test than Shahbazyan, who looks like a skeleton. We move on. Bolanos and Aswell. I got this fight wrong. I've had all the other fights right, but Bolanos and Aswell Jr. was a great fight. They were both scrapping it out. Aswell was coming forward, trying to do his thing, but he leaves openings every time he comes forward, and Bolanos was taking advantage of that. He was having some better of the kicks. Aswell was really just looking for the boxing exchange, not really trying to mix it up at all. And he did get close in the third round. I think it was 1-1 going into the third round, and Bolanos just kind of carried away with it. So another great fight. Goes to decision. Bolanos wins, I think, by split decision. But yeah, it was a decent fight. Those guys were scrapping it out. Aswell is going to come back, I think, and he's going to be decent. He's one of those guys that the UFC likes because he's always getting into a scrap. Bolanos, he's called the Dream Killer, so I guess it kind of makes sense that he kind of stunts Aswell Jr. there in his career. But yeah, good win for Bolanos. He did his kickboxing thing, and Aswell just kind of ran into all those traps, I guess, on the striking end. Yeah, so good for him. We move on to Allan Nascimento versus Mitch Raposo. This fight I also got wrong. Kind of surprising. Mitch Raposo got taken down a lot in his last fight, But I guess this is what happens when you go to New England Cartel, because they're amazing at takedown defense. Calvin Kattar, Rob Font, they kind of have a blueprint to a very good takedown defense. So Mitch Raposo goes over there. His takedown defense improves. He was doing his thing in the first and second round, jumping in and out. He was landing a couple big shots on Allan Nascimento, cut him open in the first round, and he was really looking good in the first 2 rounds. Allan was having trouble tracking him down. Nascimento could not find the teep kicks or the low kicks that I think he should have been finding on Mitch Raposo. It's hard to get them when they're, bouncing around outside, but that's the way you cut them down. And he's too lanky of a guy, man, so to not be able to get those. And then it was funny because then the third round, before the third round starts, his corner's telling him that you need to front kick Raposo in the face and you need to go for this. You're down 0-2. And Allan Nascimento does do that. He comes out in the third round, puts a way more aggression than he ever has in his career on Mitch Raposo, and lands a big shot on him, puts Raposo down, and goes to the ground, starts, trying to ground and pound him, and then he just ends up on top. He was I think he was at half guard, and there just really wasn't that much damage on the ground to call that a 10-8. And Raposo had already won the 2 rounds before that, so he just kind of stalled out there, and he gets the win unanimously, I believe. But yeah, good win for Raposo. I did not think he was going to win that fight. I really don't rate him highly at all, but he looks like he improved on everything. I don't see him becoming that big of a star or anything in this division, but yeah, good win for him. And we go on to Bia Mesquita versus Melissa Mullins. This fight had me scared for 2 seconds, and then Bia Mesquita made sure I was all right. Bia Mesquita is going to be a star in the bantamweight division for women's. She's on the mic after this. First of all, so Bia Mesquita goes towards Melissa Mullins to start off the fight. Her chin is so high up in the air, and I notice it as it's the first couple minutes that this is happening. She's just charging in, throwing punches. And Melissa Mullins isn't all that bad of a puncher, and as soon as I see the chin up in the air for Bia Mesquita, I then hear Daniel Cormier and Michael Bisping say the same thing. And as soon as they're done saying that her chin is way too high up in the air, Melissa Mullins cracks her and puts her down. Bia Mesquita then holds her close on the ground, doesn't let Melissa get up and punch her, and she, recoups, and it's her world down there. Bia Mesquita, I think they said it was a 10-time world champion in jiu-jitsu, and it was just her world. As soon as Melissa Mullins went to hit her on the ground, her arm got exposed, and Bia Mesquita wrapped it up in a nanosecond and got the finish. It was a nasty armbar. She then got on the mic, called out Aline Perez, said, "Stop shaking your ass. You're not welcome in this division. You shouldn't be in this division, and I'll kick your ass." So I love Bia Mesquita. The UFC loves Bia Mesquita, and I think we all should love Bia Mesquita. So that was great. We move on to the next fight. Andre Lima versus Kevin Borjas. Now, I was completely wrong in this fight. I didn't think there was a chance in hell that Kevin Borjas was going to win this fight. He's 1-4. He's unprofessional. He missed weight a couple of times. He missed weight this fight, and he weighed in over 3 pounds, I believe. So I did not see him winning this fight. Andre Lima is very technical. He's a highly touted prospect. And what's funny about this is that he got his ass whooped throughout 3 rounds. Andre Lima had absolutely nothing for Kevin Borjas. I don't know what he was doing. I think he had too much confidence coming into this fight, honestly. Just looking at how he was walking into the cage, it really seemed like they thought this was going to be an easy win. Kevin Borjas was the biggest underdog on the card, and he literally won every round. Now, to start off this fight, Borjas is throwing some volume, Lima's way. Lima's trying to cut him off, but Borjas is reacting to everything, and he just keeps connecting. He's throwing more combinations. Andre Lima was just trying to be methodical, trying to pick a couple shots here and there, and it just wasn't doing anything, man. Every time he threw one punch, Kevin Borjas landed 4. And every time Lima pressured him and went towards him while Borjas was backed up on the cage, Lima just stood there with his high guard up and left his body completely exposed for Borjas to hit. Very odd fight. Don't know what their game plan is going into this. Andre Lima also going in. So also first round? Second round. The start of the second round. Andre Lima and Borjas both throw a kick and Lima hits him under the cup. Borjas goes down, is, in agony that he got nut-shotted. And he's telling the doctors that the pain's all throughout his legs and whatever. And, it's looking real serious, right? It's like, I'm believing him. They have 5 minutes to recover. Kevin Borjas got up at 4 minutes and 58 seconds and just blitzes Andre Lima. The way he was moving, how fast he was moving, to me just seemed like he took that rest. And then because he got calf kicked, Andre Lima landed a low kick on him in the beginning of that second round that looked like it hurt him. And then, like I said, 5-minute rest. All of a sudden, here he comes out and he just put it on Lima again. Third round comes up. Andre Lima knows he's down 2 rounds. He has to know he's down 2 rounds. Kevin Borjas knows all he has to do is touch Lima doing what he's doing. And Andre Lima just decides, I'm going to just throw one body kick on the left side and not do anything else. No urgency whatsoever. He was calling Kevin to come to the cage, to throw down, but he just threw one punch at a time. And again, Borjas just kept throwing 4 punches to one punch of Andre Lima. Very odd. The mental game of Lima needs to improve a whole hell of a lot, because that was terrible. I felt embarrassed for doing what I did, for not giving Borjas any chance. He was the biggest underdog, like I said, so it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, just absolutely ridiculous. Lima did land a jab in the third round that knocked the mouth guard out, and that was his highlight. That was it. He also, after taking an ass whooping for 3 rounds, put his hands up when the fight ended, and then goes to the decision. Borjas obviously wins unanimously, and Lima's walking around like, how is that possible? Just pathetic. Can't believe that happened. But yeah, Borjas stays in. I think a lot of the motivation for him, a big part of this fight was that he probably knew he was done if he lost this fight. But maybe he stays on. We'll see. He's got to fix the weight cutting issues. But great win for him. Good for him. We move on. This fight was ridiculous. Vinicius Oliveira versus Andre Fili. Fili was a late replacement. He comes in on short notice, and Oliveira's moving up the featherweight from bantamweight. And Oliveira was saying that he was draining a lot. He didn't felt like his energy was really there while he was fighting. Vinicius Oliveira pours it on Andre Fili in the second round after being hurt. The first round's great. The first round, each of them are going back and forth. You can tell that Vinicius is way bigger. He's got a great frame for featherweight. He's more explosive. He's just a crazy... He keeps his hands low and just keeps bobbing and weaving. It's such a weird style that he has. And then he's also doing random motions. He's just... You cannot tell what he wants to throw. Andre Fili was doing decent, though, especially when in the first round, Fili checked a leg kick from Oliveira, and it looks like his foot broke because of that. Not Fili's, but Oliveira. And, it looks like he kind of regains his composure. And then Andre Fili hits 2 nasty body kicks on him, and Oliveira winces in pain, backs all the way up to the cage, and we're thinking, oh, God, Andre Fili's going to pull this out on short notice, right? It gets to the end of the first round. Again, Oliveira's on the corner on his stool saying his foot's messed up and his body's hurting. We all knew that. Comes in the second round, starts throwing flurries at him. The leg that he hurt, the foot that he hurt, he just starts throwing kicks with it again. Doesn't matter. Keeps marching forward. He's hit, he's stinging Fili to the head, to the body, and he starts getting a rhythm. And once that dude gets a rhythm and he's biting down on his mouthpiece, it's over. Andre Fili was still, kind of staying in there, but there was just so many flurries up against the cage from Vinicius Oliveira, and they're powerful, and like I said, they're all over the place. He's quick, he's hitting the body, he's hitting the head. Then Andre Fili, who we all love, just gets finished in a brutal way. Vinicius Oliveira hits him with a 4-piece combo to the body, then a knee, and then hits an elbow, throws an elbow that does kind of hit the back of the head, but it's because Fili's body was hurting so much that he was bent over. And as his head came forward, Vinicius Oliveira hit him with an elbow. He then hit him with another elbow to the side of the face, and then Fili went down, and it was just ground and pound from there. And it was at the very last second of round 2. A banger of a fight. Amazing fight. I was going nuts. And Vinicius Oliveira gets it done, man. At featherweight, he looks good. He did not look like he was gassed at all. And I'm excited to see what he does at that division. And Andre, credit to Andre Fili in another war. Been around for so long. Definitely gave Vinicius some problems. But Oliveira just, like I said, man, I had him for late round 1 KO, and he got it done in late round 2. I just think Oliveira was a different fighter, and Fili has some trouble with that. So, but again, great fight. We move on. Baghdasaryan versus Magomedov. I had Magomedov with an early round 2 KO, and he came out. It looked like he shot a takedown on Melsik, and as soon as he did that, he hit him with a right, and Melsik went down, and then but Magomedov was also kind of taking him down. It was one of those, he was so quick to the legs after he threw the punch. And that was over. Round 1, early round 1. I think it was in the first, it was either in the first or second minute. But Magomedov, once he gets him down, he takes the back. He's a master of sport in grappling. He pulls off a modified twister where it looked like the rib cage of Melsik, Baghdasaryan, was going to snap completely off of him. It was nasty. He had him in like a half Nelson, and then he just pushed his body in the opposite direction, and Melsik taps immediately. That was crazy. If that's going to be how he grapples, sign me up. I will watch all of his fights. And like I said, his striking kind of opens up because people are so afraid of getting taken down from this guy. And they're going to be even more afraid after what I just saw. Magomedov said he was training that submission in the camp, that one of his teammates showed him it, and they've just been drilling it, which is insane to me. I've never seen that before in my life. Like I said, it was like a modified twister. Melsik just immediately taps. Hell of a fight. Magomedov then gets on the mic, says he wants the featherweight division to be back, more exciting. He thinks it's kind of dying, and he wants to be active. Not many Russian fighters do want to be active. I don't think he's Russian. I think he's somewhere in that region, though. But again, they're all not that active, right? So if he wants to be active and he wants to pull off stuff like that, sign me up. I'm so down for it. He's exciting, and what he did to Melsik was just brutal. We move on. Speaking of brutal, I did not expect this at all. This is, I think, one of the only fights that the checklist got wrong. Hyder versus Christian Rodriguez. I was thinking it was going to go to decision. That's usually what Christian Rodriguez does, and he does it well. Christian Rodriguez immediately starts throwing a right head kick to Hyder and you can tell it's wide open. Hyder corner is telling him to keep his left hand to his chin, and he's just not doing it. He just keeps going. He was actually a little bit more calculated. He was a little bit more calm against Christian Rodriguez in this fight. He did just get knocked out, so I think that played a part in it. But Rodriguez was tagging him early. Hit him with a right hand twice. He's looking for that right head kick. Emil had a cut on his face already. And all of a sudden, Rodriguez lands the head kick. I don't know how Emil, he's built like a brick. I don't know how he doesn't get knocked out from that. He falls over. Rodriguez is quick to a guillotine that's so deep. And Hyder Emil goes to sleep and is just not there on the canvas. A hell of a win from Christian Rodriguez. A nasty fight. Again, just after this first round finish from Magomedov and then that crazy fight from Oliveira, the main card was insane. There was a finish in every fight. And Christian Rodriguez, man, if he's going to look like that, let's see more fights from him. Because like I said, he was doing a lot of decisions. He was kind of a decision merchant. But man, his striking looked good tonight. Anytime Emil too, like, tried to pressure him, you know, he was trying to mix in a takedown or something. C-Rod was. And yeah, dude, just a perfect performance, I think, from C-Rod. And tough for Emil, man, because knocked out twice like that's bad. And I mean, he got submitted this round, this fight, but he went to sleep in both. So it's going to be tough for him. He is older. I think he's 36. It's going to be tough for him to come back, especially at featherweight. We move on. Another crazy fight. On Cutelaba versus Navajo Stirling. Cutelaba does what he does. It's kill or be killed, man. He comes out swinging punches on Navajo. Navajo has trouble early. In fact, he has so much trouble that he puts his head in such a vulnerable position after pushing Cutelaba against the cage. He switched positions. Cutelaba had him up against the cage. And then they reversed. Stirling has him up against the cage, but puts his head in such a vulnerable position that Cutelaba almost gets a guillotine on him, takes him all the way down to the ground, gets full mount on him with a headlock, and somehow Navajo gets out of it. They come back up. They're swinging back and forth, and then Cutelaba would go back to the grappling. He would try to push him up against the cage. He also I think he was acting. I don't think he was actually hurt, because that's what Cutelaba does. He did it against Ankalaev as well. But Cutelaba has this weird thing where he's going to play possum, and he really looks dazed. Just, and then all of a sudden, he's just throwing punches at you and trying to kill you. So Stirling, I think that's stupid, because the judges, they don't know, just like we don't know. And if anything, I think you're going to give those damage points to Stirling. Because you just don't know. Even if Cutelaba is throwing back, man, we don't know. So, yeah, Navajo was just looking to strike with him. He was catching him on the head a couple times. And I wasn't really sure who won round one, to be honest. But round two starts. They start striking again. Immediately, both of them are going back and forth. Cutelaba starts throwing a spinning elbow. That then they come back to the center of the cage, and then Navajo's starting to throw elbows. It was just like they were trying to match each other almost in this fight, and it was crazy. The pace was crazy for light heavyweight. Cutelaba almost gets a Kimura on Stirling, again goes all the way to the ground with it, and we think it might be locked in, because he kept getting into a more dominant position, but again, man, he just couldn't get it done. And towards the end of this fight, it was a late round 2 KO. I had Stirling early round 3 KO because I thought Cutelaba would gas. And that's what happened. Cutelaba at the end of the second round goes for a takedown, doesn't get it, just decides he's going to sit there and watch. He literally takes 20 shots to the head, just not caring. He's like, I'm done. I'm sitting back. I'm reclining. You know, you could have given him a drink and a TV, and he would have been joyful. He would have been so happy. But Navajo Stirling just starts raining down punches on him. Great win for him. He gets another finish. He's on a 2-fight finishing streak, and he's undefeated. So he's starting to gain some hype. Again, I think the UFC knew what they were doing with this fight. They knew Cutelaba is going to be killed or be killed, or kill or be killed. But Stirling hung in there, dealt with the pressure, dealt with a little bit of adversity, got out of those submissions, and ends up out cardioing Kutalaba and knocking him out. So yeah, good for him. I think he was looking at the Mountain Tiger, the one Chinese fella, who I think might be a good move for him. He was also thinking Alonzo Menifield. It probably will be Alonzo Menifield next for Stirling, because Menifield just beat Ming Zhang, I think his name is, who's been knocked out a couple times straight now. So Menifield might be the fight for him. And we'll see where he goes from here. He's training out City Kickboxing. Future looks bright for him. We move on. Manel Kape versus Kyoji Horiguchi. I kind of called this. I had late round 2. It happened in round 3. Manel Kape gets a vicious KO on Horiguchi. And it happens when Horiguchi goes to plant and Kape just finds that opening. It was like an uppercut hook that Kape lands on the chin of Horiguchi. Horiguchi goes down and tries to get back up, but there's so much ground and pound from Manel that as soon as Horiguchi tries to stand up, Manel hit him on the chin again, and he just face planted to the canvas. It was a nasty KO. It was a perfect shot from Manel, and I just thought that's what was going to happen in this fight. Horiguchi was doing amazing in the first 2 rounds. It looked like he had the perfect game plan against Kape, to be honest. He was mixing in takedowns, which Manel just does not do well with, which makes me concerned for a potential fight against Pantoja if Pantoja comes back and beats Van in the rematch. But yeah, Kyoji was stinging him a little bit. Kape did get a couple shots on Kyoji in the first round, but Kyoji kind of pulled it out. He had a takedown at the very end of round 1, and I think that won him the round. The strikes were kind of even. And then round 2 was the same thing, but Kyoji gets him down way earlier in the fight, or way earlier in the round. And because of that takedown threat, Manel's defense was starting to get vulnerable. He was starting to get hit a little bit more. And then in the 3rd round, Manel, I think there was a checked kick from Kyoji, and Manel got hurt. And that's when Kyoji starts going forward, and then he plants, starts throwing, and Kape found it. I thought it was going to be up against the cage where Kyoji plants. He was in the center of the cage because he saw Manel hurt, and he tried to finish him, and he just ran right into it. I'm so happy. I wanted Manel Kape to win. Horiguchi's great. I love him. He's a great addition to this flyweight division, but it's Manel Kape's time. And his next fight will be for a title. I just think he's going to have to wait a bit because they're going to do Van Pantoja if Pantoja's coming back. And I want to see that fight. I hate it. Everyone hated how that ended. Van's been a hell of a champion, though. I will say that. He's a great fighter. He's an exciting fighter. He might even beat Pantoja. And if it's a Van Kape fight, then I'm fine with that too. But if it's against Pantoja, I'm a little worried because of those takedowns that he just doesn't seem to do well with. But Horiguchi, man, he really had a good game plan for him. Just got caught. And that's what happens with Manel Kape, man. He's got the power at flyweight. It's very rare. And he finds those shots, man. That is his game. And I thought it was a perfect matchup for him going into this. And like I said, late round 2, I had it. Happened round 3. So I'm happy with that. I called that. And overall, it was an amazing fight card. I will take back everything that I said about the Apex in my life because of this card. It was so good. The finishes were amazing. And I think it was also because these fights, it was unexpected results. I'm thinking Christian Rodriguez is going to get a decision. He gets a nasty head kick KO. You know, the whole thing, the Kape fight was a little bit more predictable, but again, finish on all of the fights on the main card. And then we had somebody like BM Mesquita who got knocked down, had some adversity, and then gets a nasty armbar. And that twister from Magomedov, there was so much going on around that time because who was it? Who was it? Oh, the Oliveira fight just happened with Fili. Banger of a fight. Goes right into the submission game of Magomedov. Gets a nasty submission with the twister. And then it's just... Oh, and then DDP Usman's announced, which is a great fight. I'm happy with that. I was just looking at the OKC card, wondering why Jared Cannonier and I don't even know who he's facing. I forget. They were at the top of the card, and I was like, are they really going to do another Cannonier main event? But no, they have DDP versus Usman, which is a great fight. I'm going to make a reaction video probably tomorrow on that. But yeah, man, these fights were amazing. I was so happy with it. If these fights are going to continue in the Apex like this, I'm all for it. So Manel Kape gets it done. He's next for the title. Well, his next fight's for the title for sure. After what he just did to Kyoji, and he gets revenge on him from 2017. So, like, comment, and subscribe. I will be back tomorrow. If you watch this card, you know this was an amazing fight. Let me know what your thoughts were. See you all later.